Well, listen. One of the big things that's happening right now in the States is we're getting ready for like Christmas time. And there's big trees and big lights and whatever. And so one of the questions I had, as I always have this for people, is like, I don't know anything about what goes on during this time in other countries. I know a little bit about what happens inside of Europe, but outside of Europe, I mean, I'm very curious to know, are you guys, is there kind of this also sentiment, oh, it's almost Christmas, or is that not at all like important in China? Or do people in China generally celebrate Christmas? Do they not celebrate Christmas? Obviously,
Well,
well, I should say this: China's a country of over 1 billion. You're one person. You can't speak for everybody, but just maybe you have some kind of perspective on that.
yes, yes, I do, and I don't think I don't think I can speak on behalf of the Chinese, but on behalf of me and my family members, I don't think we have any kind of sentimental stuff for celebrating Christmas because Christmas is, first of all, not hasn't been celebrated in China for a long, long while. Like before the open and reform policy, just started to celebrate after we get in touch with Western culture, Western companies, and it's quite a recent phenomenon. And you also mentioned about China is a very, very huge country, and it's worth to mention that there are billions of Muslims who are living in China, and I do not think most of them, like in their traditional way, will or would celebrate Christmas, but that kind of thing is ever changing, so who knows? But talking about Christmas in my city, Nanking, first of all, probably I should briefly touch about its location. It's located around 300 kilometers on the west part of Shanghai, and it's used to be the capital of China when Kuomintang was in power. So it's not that kind of ancient or remote from the Western culture, but also it's not as developed as Shanghai. People in Nanking used to celebrate Christmas, and I can recall that vividly when I was a child. When my parents put Christmas socks in near my bed, and when I woke up, I can find some candies or probably toys if I was behaving properly or getting good scores from the school. And those things happened, I think, for most of the Chinese around my age, 25, 26 to 30. Also, when I was in middle school, and we used to organize some kind of celebration in our class, do some quizzes, bring each other some gifts, and probably even there's kind of interclass or intergrade, seventh grade, eighth grade, intergrade celebration. People just go to each other and say Happy Christmas. But now I think now it's 2024 and it's quite different, I think. First of all, is the rise of populism in China. And I think it is a very huge problem. If I have time, I wish to discuss it more in the later. But the second problem is the economy. The people just don't very much have the confidence and have the financial support to let them celebrate Christmas because there are huge celebration. There is, or probably there are huge celebrations afterwards. The New Year, Chinese New Year, those two very important things. And I think the third thing is a psychological one, and it's closely related to the COVID. I think people's mental mind or people's view of celebration, etc., those kind of activities has been dramatically changed after COVID. People just probably are more anxious and more depressed, and not that kind of happy and prosperous anymore. And it's also a very huge topic that, if you allow me to touch upon it. And in the summary, I think people used to celebrate Christmas in my city, but now it's different. There are rising of populism, which means they are trying to focus more on traditional Chinese holidays and activities, and also their financial they're limited by their pockets. They can't. People just don't. People used to organize big parties, probably organize only small parties, and people used to organize small parties. Now try to organize zero parties, and also people are getting more and more depressed and anxious.